Good afternoon. Let's see, the SAP reset date.
January the 2nd,
Okay.
2024.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Bridgewater. See, it's a little before 2. We'll give everyone an opportunity to get on the line before we begin. Good afternoon, Ms. Chansey.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
I'll just make it, let courtroom 2 know that we do have Madam Interpreter here this afternoon. Good afternoon, Francois. I hope you're well.
Thank you, I am. I hope you are too. Good afternoon,
Yes.
tomorrow. Let me see, that actually would be for position number. Who needs the Spanish? Sanchez. The name is Sanchez. This is gonna be for Mr. Sanchez.
Okay.
If you guys are ready to do the breakout, and whose case is that yours, Miss Kim?
Yes,
Okay,
Section 13.
okay, we'll have him go into courtroom 3 shortly.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
And also, we can get started with Union City. That's gonna be position number 15, Mr. Smith.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, if we can get, Mr. Smith at Union City unmuted.
Hello.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Smith. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. You've been charged in case 23 CR 008048Y with battery family violence. Who do we have on from pretrial this afternoon?
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Roberts. Is there a history for Mr. Smith?
The last arrest was from July of this year for 2 counts of theft by taken. That case was not prosecuted. Level 2 recommendation.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Anderson. Is this your case?
Good afternoon, Your Honor, it is.
Okay, you can proceed.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back before you again after all this time.
Yes, it's good to see you.
Good to see you. Mr. Smith, as you stated, is charged with battery family violence, Your Honor. Law enforcement was dispatched to a found property call at the address of 6885 Peachtree Dunwoody Road in Sandy Springs. Upon arrival, the officer met with the victim in this case, and that's Miss Shannon Ijoba, who explained that while searching her son's bedroom, and the defendant is her son, she found 9 380 caliber bullets and wanted to turn them into the police. The victim searched her son's room while he was at school because he had attacked her and told her that he was going to get a friend to shoot her previously. The incident took place on November 25th of this year, and when the victim returned home after working an overnight shift, and she went into the defendant's room to request that he get dressed so they could go out to eat and clean his room. He became very upset and began yelling, stating, "Get the expletive out of my room." The defendant then pushed her out of his room and into the bathroom, at which point he grabbed his mother by the sweatshirt and punched her in the face several times, causing her to suffer visible lacerations on the inside of her left cheek, which was observed by the officer. The defendant also dragged his mother into the living room and pushed her into a cabinet. She was able to get away from the defendant and lock herself in her bedroom for the rest of the night. I do believe that she is on Zoom, Your Honor, today. The state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond, and the conditions are that he not return to the location at 6885 Peachtree Dunwoody Road in Sandy Springs, and to have no further contact with the victim, 1 family violence intervention program, a mental health evaluation, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol, Your Honor.
Yeah, can I say something real quick?
No, not right now, Mr. Smith. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you, okay? So let Ms. Kim speak on your behalf, because I don't want you to get yourself in any more trouble, okay? So if you need to speak with her after she speaks, I'm happy to give you that opportunity, but let her speak on your behalf first. Ms. Shannon, Jayoba, I see you there. If you would like to address the court, I'm happy to hear from you. If you would like to address the court, I'll need for you to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Okay, you can put your hand down. What would you like to tell the court?
Well, she stated everything correctly. I reported the incident to the police, but we've had several incidents. That was just the last physical one that she
Okay.
just stated, but we've had several. I have like 13 police reports. We've had several, and that's accurate. Every day when I come home, I have to lock myself in the bedroom because I'm fear for my life. There's no telling what he'll do at any given time. He actually stated to the police that there's nothing anyone can do or prevent him from doing. He's going to do what he want to do. He said that to the police officer. He's told it to me, my sister, the principal, Mr. Rogers,
Your
the
Honor,
head principal.
I would like to restrict our testimony just for this incident only. We don't have to hear any irrelevant cases.
Well, I want to, Ms. Kim, I give your office the opportunity to fully tell me everything that you want over the objections of the ASG sometimes, and I like to have people tell me what they think that I need to hear. So I'm going to do that in this case also. Yes, ma'am. Anything else that you want to tell me about?
Well, right now he's failing all of his courses. He's a senior, but he's functioning as a freshman because of his credit and his failure to do assignments. He's having destruction to property. This is his room. He destroys everything. He's placed holes in the wall. He yanked the glass out of there. He's out of control. The weapon he had in his hand when the police arrived, I ran to the door and pointed. Is this metal rod that he took from the box spring. He's out of control. I've done a CHINS referral through juvenile court. And actually the judge, when he last went to court, ordered him to take his medication, but he refused to take it. He refused to take his medicine. And he's out of control. No one can do anything with him. And I'm by myself with him.
Okay, I understand. Thank you, ma'am. Let's see. Does he have anywhere else to go? If he is not with you, does he have someplace else that he can stay?
No, but what I've been trying to do is get him actually admitted into a residential mental group home facility anywhere
Okay.
here. The thing is, it's temporary. There's one in Alpharetta, but it's $1,600 to get him admitted. And so the other issues we're facing is that he has Cigna insurance and he doesn't have state insurance, and he doesn't qualify for some of the other programs because I work full time. So income interferes. But I need a residential program where he can live, where there are people 24/7 supervision, and they're trained to deal with said behaviors.
And just so you know, ma'am, I understand that you're having difficulty with him. This is just a bond hearing today, and where we can have him placed. Let me speak with the attorney and see what she has to say about this, but I appreciate you being here this afternoon, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ms. Kim.
Yes, my client is 17 years old. He says he can go to his auntie's place in Lithuania. So maybe if Miss Shannon gives me auntie's phone number, I'll be happy to contact her to see if she's willing to take him. And also, there's a cousin, Quentin, I believe that was his name, who is very close to my client, who understands the situation as a witness. Quentin, I believe. So hopefully maybe we can get his phone number as well from Miss Shannon. Without her co-signing, my client will be in jail. He is not qualified for, he's qualified for public defender services because he's a student, full-time student. He used to work for public.
Ms. Kim, excuse me. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Whoever that is on the iPhone 84, ma'am, you are in court. Okay, this is a court session. You need to put the cigarette, the vape pen, whatever that is that you have, you need to put that down. You need to conduct yourself as if you are in an actual courtroom with me. Okay, I'm happy to have you here, but I won't have you disrespecting the court in that way. Okay, I see you're saying you're sorry. You're fine, but I just want to let you know, don't do that. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, Ms. Kim, I apologize. Continue.
Oh, no problem, Your Honor. So, he has been here in Georgia for the last 4 years, without his mom's support. He's going to be lost. So I was wondering maybe he can get some help through auntie if mother is not capable.
Okay, I think what I'm going to do as far as today goes, Ms. Kim, I am going to accept the recommendation of the state, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to work with the mom and find him a location that might be suitable for him, that will take him. Whether that's an aunt or whether you can work with them to have him inpatient or whatever needs to be done. So at this point in time, it will be a $3,000 good bond. No further contact with Miss Shannon Jaobe. Stay away from the Peachtree Dunwoody Road address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Ms. Kim, if you find that you can that you can find him suitable housing with someone that will tell me that they're willing to take him, or if you can work with the mom to find something that might be suitable, I'm happy for you to just let me know, and I will work with you all to modify the bond. Okay. But at this point in time, that will be the order of the court. Ms. Shannon, I'm sorry that you're going through what you're going through. I will have both the solicitor's office and Ms. Kim see if they can reach out to you to see if we can find some type of adequate placement for your son. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. All right, Mr. Smith. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Who do we have next?
Judge Morrow, we're ready for the Spanish interpreter case and courtroom 3.
Okay. So they've had an opportunity to speak with one another? No?
No.
Okay, so you're going to put them in court. Okay, so if we can put Ms. Tracy, Ms. Kim in courtroom 3 into the breakout room, please.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And while we're doing that, who do we have next?
Position 1, Ms. Annis.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Annis. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, ma'am. You've been charged in case 23 CR 008035E with battery family violence. Is there a history? Ms. Roberts?
No, first arrest. JR jail.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Annis is charged with battery. On December 14th, officers were dispatched to 4292 Savannah Drive in East Point in Fulton County in reference to a fight call. The officers met with the victim, Anna Lamott, who stated she was downstairs packing her belongings in the process of moving from the residence when she saw Miss Annis kicking her bags of clothes on the floor. Miss Annis then lunged at Miss Lamott, scratching her in the face. Miss Lamott stated that while she was trying to get away, Miss Annis started biting her arm and would not let her go. Miss Lamott began screaming, and other roommates came downstairs to get Miss Annis, the defendant, off of Miss Lamott. Officers did observe multiple lacerations on Miss Lamott's face. Officers also observed bite marks on her arm and back, and possibly hair being pulled out of her head. They spoke with the other roommates in the home, the officers did, who advised that they did have to separate them, and advised that the defendant was pulling the victim's hair, biting her, refusing her to let go. The state's recommendation, Your Honor, is a signature bond through pretrial services, anger awareness, no contact with Anna Lamott, a stay away from the 4292 Savannah Drive and East Point address, and a one-time visit with law enforcement to get any belongings, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Thank you. Let's see, who's assisting the court today with breakout rooms? Ms. Bridgewater, who do we
Yes,
have?
sir. To be honest, I don't know, but I will find out. It's scheduled for Ms. Strong, but I don't see her on here. But I'll get someone right now.
Okay, I appreciate you getting
No
someone to
problem.
assist us.
No
And
problem.
as soon as they do, would you just let them know that we need Ms. Kim, Ms. Chancey in courtroom 3 in a breakout room. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Atai. Is this your case, Ms. Atai?
Yes, it is. Good afternoon, Your Honor. As the state stated, she was arrested on December 14th, so I am going to raise the Riverside issue. She's been in custody since the 14th, so it's now been 4 days. So it is a Riverside issue. As such, I am requesting a signature bond through the jail. But I can go ahead. My client is 30 years old. She has absolutely no criminal history. She's never been arrested. She does deny the allegations. She states that she was not the first aggressor. And again, she was arrested on December 14th for this incident.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Yeah, let me just find, I will let you respond, Ms. Anderson, but let me find out a little bit more information. Who is Ms. Lamont to Ms. Annis? Are they just roommates?
Roommates, yes.
Okay, and does Ms. Annis have somewhere else to go?
She does not have anywhere else to go. She states that she, won't have a home or a place to stay if she is not able to return to the location. I mean, as stated in the warrant, Anna Lamont is moving out.
Okay, and is this Miss Anna Lamont on the iPhone 14 there? If you'd like to address me, Ms. Lamont, I'll need for you to unmute yourself for me. Yeah, yes, ma'am. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you can place your hand down, ma'am. What did you want to tell the court?
I kind of actually wrote something because it would be easier for me to express myself like that.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna just read it. Okay, sorry. But by the way, first, if you can you see my arm right now? Because
yes, ma'am. I can see your arm.
Okay. So yeah, that's my arm. She beat me like that, so and that's my face. Yeah. But yeah, okay. Okay. So I wrote a little something to better express this situation. This is the worst thing that ever happened to me in my whole life. She attacked me, beat me, bite me, scratch me. This has never happened to me. I never fought as an adult. Never had to even call the cops ever in my life, and I'm 35. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. I'm disfigured and I'm hurting a lot physically. But the worst pain I have is the emotional and spiritual pain. My spirit has been so down. I lost all my confidence. Every time I see myself, I cry. I'm afraid. I'm 5'11", never been afraid in my life. But now I carry fear with me everywhere I go, and I feel ashamed. I believe she's a dangerous person, and I mean, I don't know how can this, why would anybody do this to somebody, Yeah, that's about it.
Ms. Lamont, the Savannah Drive address, you live at that address?
Yeah, but I'm moving right now. And
okay.
That's why I believe she did it on purpose, but
Okay, well, I appreciate you being here this afternoon, Ms. Lamont. Thank you. I apologize, Ms. Anderson. Go ahead. You had something else that you'd like to speak with the court about?
Yes, Judge, I just wanted to correct counsel's misstatement. I stated that the incident occurred on December 14th. The booking report that I have is dated December 17th, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Ty?
Yes, Your Honor, and that is what's on the booking report. But the warrant shows that she was arrested on December 14th for this same, for the same warrant that's on the booking report. So she was, transferred, it looks like, from East Point, but she was arrested on the 14th. And there are no other charges, no warrants for this same incident.
Okay. Anything further, Ms. Anderson?
I'm giving the court the information that I have, Your Honor.
Okay. So
I'm
based on
sorry, Your Honor. I did send that. I sent it to Mr. Walker. I thought that he was on today. I guess he's not, but I did send it ahead of time. I didn't know that to include Miss Anderson, but I did send, and the warrant is there right after the booking report.
Okay, this is her first arrest. It will be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Ms. Lamont. While Ms. Lamont is living at the Savannah Drive address, Ms. Annis cannot reside there as such. She can have a one-time police escort to retrieve any belongings that she may have there. If Ms. Lamont chooses to leave that residence, then Ms. Annis can stay there. If Ms. Lamont does not leave, then Ms. Annis will have to find herself somewhere else to go. She's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right, good luck to you, Ms. Lamont. You also, Ms. Annis.
Judge Morrow, we're still actually waiting for the breakout.
Right, Ms. Bridgewater, did we find somebody?
Yes, it was Miss Grace.
Miss Grace, are you with me? I don't see her on.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was muted, Judge.
Okay, Miss Grace, I need for courtroom 3 to be placed into a breakout room with well, I don't see the other two here. Did you, is someone already in
Yes,
the breakout room?
I put the interpreter and Miss Kim in the breakout. Who was the other person needed to go in?
Courtroom 3, please.
Will do now. Thanks, Judge.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, so who do we have in courtroom 2?
This is going to be position number 11, Mr. Monroe.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Monroe. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You have been charged in case 23 CR 008045G with 2 counts of simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Yeah. Yes, the last arrest was November of this year for a probation violation. The 2023 conviction for abandonment of certain drugs, possession and use of drug-related objects, and possession of a Schedule II controlled substance. 2019 conviction for battery family violence, false imprisonment, cruelty in the first. 2016 conviction for possession of a Schedule I or II controlled substance with intent to distribute, and drugs not in an original container. 2014 theft by receiving stolen property conviction. 2014 criminal attempt to commit a felony. 2013 aggravated stalking and aggravated assault conviction, and then 2010 battery, and 2010 simple battery family violence. He does have open felony cases out of Fulton County. I will have to look in Odyssey for those case numbers, but I do know he has at least 2 open cases out of Fulton County.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Anderson?
Yes, Your Honor. Law enforcement responded to a dispute call at 1603 Ezra Church Drive. Upon arrival, the officers spoke with the victim, Miss Franchette Stanley, who explained that she was assaulted by her boyfriend, who was the defendant, Cedarius Monroe. The incident began when Miss Stanley's son, a minor, drank a Sprite that had been left out overnight that belonged to the defendant. The defendant began yelling about the soda, so Miss Stanley went to the refrigerator and got a cold soda for him at which point he became upset with her and began acting erratically, so she called the police. After she called the police, the defendant grabbed her hair and punched her in the head, causing her to fall to the floor. She then got up and called the police again. While on the phone with the police, her minor son told the dispatch that the defendant attacked his mom. The defendant then became upset and pushed the minor into the wall and struck him in the chest with both hands. Ms. Stanley kept the defendant away from her son while she was on the phone with 911. The defendant then left the location. Ms. Stanley and the defendant are in a relationship and have been living together at the incident location for about a year. She did positively identify the defendant, Your Honor, and I think she may be on Zoom today. The state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond. The conditions are a stay away from 1603 Ezra Church Drive, and no further contact with either of the victims, one family violence intervention program, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol.
Okay, that's $1,500 per charge, Miss Anderson?
That's exactly right, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Stanley, I see that you're on the Zoom call with us this afternoon. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. You're trying. Okay, I think that you're trying to tell me that you're trying to unmute it. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Okay, go ahead and figure that out for me. And while you figure that out, Ms. Stanley, Mr. Cook, is this your case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. A lot of this depends on what Ms. Stanley has to say. Obviously, they live together at Ezra Church, and I think they have at least one child together. Yes. My client works for Solid Waste Management and has for 5 years. He would like, when he gets a bond, to be able to return with whatever conditions to Ezra Church Drive. That's basically the only. Well, I wouldn't say that. I think you mentioned some friends, but I think it'd be very. It's almost critical to the decision to see what Miss Stanley wants to do.
Looks like she's still having problems. If you're on I'm not sure what type of device you're on, Miss Stanley, but sometimes there are 3 little buttons that you might need to push to see if a microphone comes up that you can unmute.
And Your Honor, I misspoke. When you asked me to clarify whether it was 1,500 each, that's incorrect, Your Honor. The state is asking for 3,000 each based on these allegations and the extensive history.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm sorry, Miss Stanley. I can't see you, I can't hear you, and I unfortunately can't help you. Given what I've heard, Mr. Cook.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Okay.
All right. Hold on for me. Hold on. I'm gonna have to have you raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. What would you like to tell me, Miss Stanley?
Okay. I just was speaking with the solicitor, and they told me that they asked me whether or not I felt safe with him being home, and that's my fiance. We're getting married soon. They asked me that I want to take the signature bond with the no violent contact, and I told her yes. Being that I also told the officer that I didn't want to press charges in the beginning, that's why he never gave me a case number or anything. We haven't even spoke further about this because I didn't even know it was a case number for this.
Okay. Well, you're here now, so let me just ask you a few things. Has this ever happened before?
No.
And tell me how many children do you and Mr. Monroe have together?
Well, and now we have 8 kids that we don't share together, but I do have one of his daughters that resides with us that I have taken upon a slight temporary custody of.
And you found it necessary to call the police on the 21st of last month?
Well, yes, I did because he was very loud, and yes, I did.
Why? And have you all been together since November 21st?
Yes, we have. We be together every day. That's my way that's my everything. Yes, we are together every day.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Miss Stanley.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering because the state said their recommendation was 3,000 bond. I had told her that I didn't have any money to bond him out. So she asked me did I want to do the signature bond with the no violent contact. I was just wondering, can we still do that? What happened to that?
Okay, well, that's the decision that I'm about to make. Okay, so that's going to be up to me. Okay.
Okay,
So
thank you.
That's what you're requesting,
Yes.
and you told me that you're not afraid of him.
Yes, I'm not.
Okay, and you told me that this has never happened before.
No.
Okay, let me tell you what I'm most concerned about, Miss Stanley. And while I'm speaking, and Miss Monroe's hearing me also, I'm mostly concerned about those children. You're a grown person. He's a grown person. But if these types of things are happening in front of your children, that is something that greatly concerns me. Okay, I'll just tell you that. Okay.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Cook.
Your Honor, we would then be seeking a signature bond, no violent contact.
Anything further, Ms. Anderson?
Yes, Your Honor. I agree with you. That's why the state's position is as it is. As you heard, this gentleman has a conviction for cruelty to children, false imprisonment, battery, family violence as recent as 2017, a litany of other open cases here in Fulton. It's the state's position that this pattern needs to be interrupted, Your Honor, for the sake of the children.
Okay, so for today, Ms. Roberts, are you with me?
Yes, I'm here.
Tell me what the recommendation was again. I'm sorry.
Level 3.
Okay, so it will be a $2,500 SOB through pretrial for each charge, which will make it a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3, 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Miss Stanley or any of the minor children, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right, so good luck to you, Mr. Monroe. You also, Miss Stanley.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Who do we have next?
Position 9, Gerson. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Gerson. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 008043Y with driving under the influence of alcohol, failure to maintain lane, operation of a motor vehicle with an expired or no license plate, and obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
No, first arrest. Recommendation is level 1.
Yes, Ms. Anderson.
Your Honor, officers were stopped at a red light when they observed a white 2022 GMC Arcadia pass at a high rate of speed, nearly driving through the red light as it turned green. The officers continued to follow that Arcadia going northbound and observed the driver fail to maintain lane on 2 separate occasions. A traffic stop was initiated at the intersection of Haynes Bridge Road and Georgia 120. The defendant failed to maintain her lane again while attempting to navigate a roundabout and almost struck the curb in the Gore. While attempting to park, she drove past the provided parking spot and parked partially in the travel lanes of the parking lot. When the officers made contact with the driver, they could immediately smell the odor of alcoholic beverages coming from inside of the car and from the defendant's breath. The defendant also presented with red, bloodshot, glossy eyes and admitted to having 2 glasses of wine before driving. Further, Your Honor, the registration on the vehicle expired on October 12th of this year. The defendant refused to step out of the vehicle when asked, refused to participate in field sobriety tests, attempted to make a phone call during the initial stop. Officers continued to command her to get out of the vehicle. She did not comply. They attempted to remove her from the car when she began resisting and pulling away. The state's recommendation is a signature bond, Your Honor, through pretrial services, alcohol, drug evaluation and treatment, no driving, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Mr. Cook? You're on mute, sir.
We would be looking at the level 1 signature bond. On the I'm not sure how the no driving would work in this case, and until
I'm not gonna require her not to drive, Mr. Cook.
Okay.
So,
Okay. We don't have any problem with the alcohol and drug evaluation.
okay. For the DUI, a $1,250 signature bond through pretrial. For all the other charges, $250 signature bond through pretrial makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. I'll leave the rest for a later time. Good luck to you, Ms. Gerson.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Stanley, I see that you have your hand up. You have a question for the court?
Yes, I had got bumped out, and I was just trying to figure out what the outcome was.
I gave him a signature bond, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I mean, yes,
You're
sir.
welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good afternoon. Who do we have next?
Position 3, Burke.
Good afternoon, Mr. Berkey. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir, Judge Morrow.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 008036A with battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Last arrest was in 2014 for battery family violence. The case was dismissed. UJR jail is the recommendation.
Ms. Anderson?
Your Honor, on November 20th of this year, the victim, Ms. Burke, went to the Atlanta police and described an incident of assault that occurred on November 17th of this year at her home, 3590 Rolling Green Ridge in Southwest Atlanta. She reported that the defendant came into the bathroom and asked her to have sex with her. She refused. At that point, he picked her up, placed her over the sink, and put his elbow under her neck. She continued to deny his advances and went into their bedroom. The defendant came in demanding sex again, but this time pushing her at her hip, hitting her in the face, and trying to get her into the bed. She had to bite him in self-defense. She sustained discoloration, scratches, bruises on her right hand and upper thigh. She stated that this was the 4th time that he has done this to her during their 17-year marriage. She has filed for divorce. They do share one adult child. And the state's recommendation, Your Honor, is a $6,000 surety bond, 1 FBIP, a no contact with the victim, a stay away from the address, and a one-time law enforcement visit for belongings, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
What's the alleged victim's name?
Her name is Nashunda Burke, and I think she may be present today, Your Honor.
Okay. If Ms. Nashunda Burke is present and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so.
Further, she has also requested a TPO, Your Honor. The TPO has been filed, and it states that she is allowed to stay at the residence.
Okay, thank you. And given that I don't, after sounding for, don't see her, yes, whose case is this?
It's mine, Your Honor.
Yes, you can proceed, Mr. Ty.
Okay, Your Honor, my client is 48 years old. He is a father of 4. He does share the one child with the complaining witness. He has absolutely no criminal history. And he denies the allegations. I am requesting, as he's recommended, a signature on bond through the jail. I would request no stay away because she has not lived there since the incident in November 17th. I'm not aware of any TPO, but if Your Honor's not inclined, that's fine, but I would request the signature on bond through the jail. And a
Okay.
no contact is fine. They haven't been in contact, and she hasn't been living there, and he has for the last month.
I have some clarity on that, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am, Miss Anderson.
That's correct. She has not been there because he's been there and won't leave, and so she's afraid. But the TPO did state that she does have the ability to be there. As to his criminal history, that 2014 arrest for battery, substantial harm does include the same victim. I am not aware yet whether it was dismissed as a result of some pretrial services or not. I'm not sure if it was like a diversion program or not, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, it'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Ms. Nashonda Burke. Stay away from the Rolling Green Ridge address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Yes, good luck to you, Mr. Burke.
Position 5, Dillard.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dillard. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Dillard, you've been charged in case 23 CR 008039G with contributing to the delinquency of a dependent of a minor and maintaining a disorderly house. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Last arrest was in 2020, April of 2020 for battery, family violence, criminal trespass, and fleeing or attempting to elude. Those out of city of South Fulton. There was no disposition listed, so I'm not aware if that case is open. All of his convictions are in the 90s and 80s.
Okay.
And the recommendation would be level 1.
Ms. Anderson?
I also see a 2021 battery family violence case, Your Honor. It's listed as a conviction here, but I'm not certain about that. Just want to mention I do see something for 2021 battery family violence. Officers responded to the defendant's residence, which is 614 Yazel Place. The defendant is the owner of the home, and he has an extensive history with the police responding to that address in reference to loud music, residents drinking and alcohol, smoking marijuana, and just being loud. This location is also under investigation for human sex trafficking. On this date that the officers were there, he was charged with providing alcoholic beverages and marijuana cigarettes to 7 minor children at this location. There's currently a $5,000 surety bond on each charge, the contributing to delinquency charge and the maintaining a disorderly home charge. The state is asking to keep those in place with a stay away from that address, no minors in the home, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Mr. Ty?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is a 70-year-old disabled veteran. He is 100% disabled. He does suffer from epilepsy and seizures. He lives alone at the location at the 614 Yazzie Place. He vehemently denies the allegations and states that he does have a young friend who he allowed to host a party at his home, which then got out of control. He even stated that that evening he asked several people to leave. I believe that my client, an elderly disabled veteran, is possibly being taken advantage of by this young 26-year-old friend. I would object to any kind of stay away since it is his home. he doesn't have anywhere to go if he can't return to his home. He lives there alone. And he is recommended for UJR level 1. So I'm asking, I mean, I would ask for a signature on bond through the jail, but if your honor is not inclined, then a signature on bond through pretrial services level 1 with phone reporting by phone because he is disabled, and nothing further, your honor.
Okay. For each charge, it will be a $2,500 signature bond through pretrial level 1, which makes for a total of a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No minors at the Yazoo Place household address, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Dillard.
We're ready for position 13, Sanchez, the Spanish interpreter case. Oh, I do see Ms. McLeod. We can do her case next. I'll do Ms. McLeod. She's come on. Position 10, Henry. And then we could do the Spanish interpreter case next, Judge.
Okay, I also see Mr. Majeski on the line. You with me, Mr. Majeski?
Yes, Judge. How are you?
Good afternoon. Which case is yours?
One second. Yeah, I got here a little late. They sent me a wrong link, but I got Joshua Christopher Sterling. Did you guys do that yet?
Sterling in here? Okay.
Okay, so no, we have not done that. So we'll do, if we can, just go ahead and do the case that's before me now. Is that Mr. Henry? And then we'll do Mr. Majeski's case, and then we can do the interpreter case. Is that okay?
Thank you very much, Judge.
Okay, and is this Mr. Henry?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Henry. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Henry, you've been charged in case 23 CR 008044Y with willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer and simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
I'm showing the last arrest being March of this year for a failure to appear. And then one conviction out of Tennessee from 2007 for aggravated robbery and kidnapping, level 2 recommendation.
Yes, Ms. Anderson.
Your Honor, law enforcement responded to a domestic dispute call and went to 6915 Roswell Road in Fulton County, Apartment A. When they got there, they spoke to the victim, Shakina King, who explained that her son's father, the defendant, grabbed her by the throat and threw her on the ground, causing a small abrasion and bruising to her throat that was observed by the officers. When they knocked on the door to the apartment, the defendant did answer the door. When requested to step outside, he refused. And when asked again, he took a step backwards, at which point the officer grabbed his arm and pulled him from the apartment. The defendant resisted coming out of the apartment. The defendant continued to resist arrest, and so he had to be, forcibly arrested, Your Honor, and placed in handcuffs. The bond recommendation is a $1,500 surety bond, a stay away from 6915 Roswell Road, Apartment A, no further contact with Shakina King, a family violence intervention program, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol. Thank you, Your Honor.
And how would you like that broken down, Ms. Anderson?
That's $1,500 on each charge, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. How are you doing this afternoon?
I am very well. Thank you for asking. My client is 40 years old. As pretrial has stated, he has no significant recent criminal history. He is the father of 2 young boys, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old that he shares with the alleged victim. He is the primary caretaker for that 2-year-old. As a matter of fact, when the police arrived at his home, he had the 2-year-old in his arms, and that was why he was reluctant to step outside to talk with the police. His mother was also in the household at the time. He absolutely denies that he struck the alleged victim, Your Honor. His mom was there, and so was his young son. Your Honor, we are definitely opposed to the stay away because this is my client's home and the alleged victim does not live there. In fact, even the warrant states that the alleged victim does not live there. She was just visiting and my client asked her to leave and she did not want to leave. So I would ask the court for a signature bond so my client can get out of jail and get back to taking care of his 2-year-old son. We are okay with no further contact if that is what the court requires, but they do share this child, the 2-year-old, but my client is the primary caretaker and the little boy lives with them.
Okay, let's see. Oh, go ahead, Ms. Anderson.
May I clarify one point, Your Honor?
Yes.
Certainly the officer would not attempt to arrest the defendant if he had a baby in his hands. He had already put the baby down and was not holding the baby at the time the officer asked him to step outside.
The warrant says the officer asked him to give the baby to his mother.
And he
still
did.
had the baby in his hands.
And he did give the baby to the mother, Your Honor.
Okay, is Ms. King on the line? If Ms. Shakina King is with us and wishes to address the court. All right, for each charge, it'll be a $1,500 signature bond through pretrial, makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Ms. King, third-party transfer of any minor children for visitation, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. That
You're
concludes
welcome.
before the court today. May I be excused?
Yes, have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Your Honor. Same to you.
Good luck to you, Mr. Henry.
Judge Morrow, which case did you want it to do next?
Could we go ahead and do position 16, Joshua Sterling, if you have him in the courtroom? Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Sterling, you've been charged in case 23 CR 008049D with driving while your license was suspended or revoked, operation of a vehicle without a valid decal, no insurance, and homicide by vehicle in the 2nd degree. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
No history. First arrest, UJR jail is the recommendation.
Ms. Anderson?
Your Honor, this case is being handled by ASG Anna Helena. I see her present, but I don't see her face.
Ms. Allen, are you with us? Can you raise her, Ms. Anderson?
Yes, let me go and see if let me see what I can do, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, I was trying to get you out of here, Mr. Majeski, but I'll have to come back to you when we have the solicitor on the line.
Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, is that me you're waiting for? I apologize.
Yes, yes, we are on position number 16, Mr. Sterling. We've already gone through the history. There is no first arrest, it's my understanding. And so you can proceed, Ms. Allen.
Thank you. Yeah, this incident happened over the weekend on the 16th. And while Mr. Sterling has no arrest history that I see, he had a failure to appear as a result of a citation and had no license at the time of this accident. So Mr. Sterling was driving a vehicle that was not insured. He was driving a vehicle that the registration had expired on, and he was driving without a license. His license was actively suspended when he struck a cyclist and killed that cyclist on the 16th. So the state is concerned that Mr. Sterling is a flight risk, and he has been accused with a charge of homicide by vehicle by our office. At this point, just based on the defendant's statements that he had to slam on the brakes and tried to avoid striking the cyclist and was unable to, our office believes that speed was a factor here. There are witnesses on scene and an investigation is ongoing. I'm sure you know, Your Honor, that the investigation of these kind of cases, especially with a car from 2017, as was involved in this accident, there's a black box that needs to be downloaded and the information reviewed, and that will happen. The vehicle Mr. Sterling was driving is at the annex with APD now, and information like how fast Mr. Sterling was going when he slammed on the brakes, how long the brakes were being depressed, the RPMs and throttle at the time, as well as maybe even whether Mr. Sterling was wearing a lap or seat belt, will all be potentially revealed in the next week or so. And this case is potentially going to move and be a felony. The surviving next of kin is Diane Duncan, and she and her family are connected on the Zoom. Mr. Thomas Duncan was killed as a result of this accident on the 16th. He was a military veteran, an electrical engineer, 20-year member in leadership of his church, and had an extensive record of riding bicycles on the road, which I believe he did for thousands of miles each year, and worked and behaved and acted as a mentor to others in that kind of field. He worked with a group of people. He has 2 sons, a granddaughter, and another grandchild on the way, and is considered a servant, was considered a servant. So, Your Honor, if you'd like to know what the state's bond argument is at this point, I just want to make sure that although Mr. Sterling has no criminal history, the court is understanding that we're concerned there's a flight risk, and that there's a concern that further driving unlicensed, uninsured, and in a vehicle that's unregistered may be something Mr. Sterling continues to do. We'd be asking for $30,000 in bond, Your Honor. That's going to be $20,000 on the homicide by vehicle, and the remaining split up between the 3 charges. I believe you've got no license, no insurance, or without a revalidation decal. That's the 3rd one.
So how much are you asking for the driving while license is suspended or revoked?
I have to do the math. One moment.
Okay.
So 3,000 on we'll see. How about this? 5,000 on no license, 3,000 on no insurance, and 2,000 on the decal. I believe it's count number 2.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Majeski.
Judge, I want to start by saying people often ask me what are the worst kind of cases that I get, and this is it right here. These misdemeanor vehicular homicide cases. That's because there's nothing but tragedy in these cases, and they often seem to happen to the people that least deserve them. So the next of kin has my sincere, deepest sympathies in this particular case for this horrible tragedy. Having said that, Judge, these are misdemeanor charges, and my client presents with no arrest record or previous danger to the community. I haven't heard anything to suggest that this is anything other than a misdemeanor vehicular homicide case. And I don't take that lightly, Judge, because it does involve the loss of a human life. However, when we're considering the laws we have to in these cases and taking into account the IALA factors, my client's a longtime resident of Atlanta. My understanding is pretty much all of his family and friends are here. Just based on how I got the phone call about this case, he's got some pretty good professional ties to the community. It's very possible he didn't know he missed court on that ticket. I deal with that situation all the time, and he may not even been aware of all this stuff that was going on. with his driver's license and everything like that. So there's all the chance in the world this might not have been a malicious situation here. An FTA on a traffic ticket's fairly common. There's no reason that the state has said that he might be a flight risk. I understand you want to say that in these types of situations. I mean, if we're dealing with a murder or something like that, perhaps, but he doesn't have a life anywhere outside of Georgia. He's got nowhere else to go. As far as driving, the court could always order him not to drive or anything like that, even if he does get his license situation squared away. So I think a bond in this case, I'll be honest with you, Judge, I've never seen a UJR on a vehicular homicide case. So I don't think I'm going to see one today. But $30,000, I've got people out on bond for murder, on less of a bond for that. I've got people out on bond for drug trafficking, on lesser bonds than that. And I've seen those bonds be given many times in this court. I think all that is necessary to make sure he appears in court for these charges, considering there's a loss of life, is probably at most $7,500 to $10,000, Judge.
All right. If nothing further, for the driver on a suspended license, $1,000 good. Operation of a vehicle without a decal, $1,000 good. No insurance, $1,000 good. Homicide by vehicle, $5,000 good. Makes for a total of $8,000 good. No driving while out on bond. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
That completes my business. Can I be excused?
Yes, have a good afternoon.
Thank
Good luck to you, Mr. Sterling, and my deepest sympathy to anyone that's family member that's on the line with us this afternoon. All right. So can we go to the interpreter case next?
Yes, position 13, Sanchez. Come on, Mr. Sanchez.
Sanchez.
Good afternoon. If you can raise your right hand for me, Ms. Chansey.
Yes.
Do you swear affirm that you will translate from Spanish to English and English to Spanish to the best of your ability?
I do, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Sanchez. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Buenas tardes, señor Sánchez. Yo soy el juez Morrow y esta es la audiencia de lista de causas estatales de trámite rápido y estamos conduciendo esta teleaudiencia a distancia. ¿Está de acuerdo con que tratemos este caso? Sí. Yes.
You have been charged with public drunk and criminal trespass.
Usted tiene un cargo de embriaguez en vía pública y allanamiento de morada.
Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
¿Hay antecedentes, señora Roberts?
First arrest, UJR jail recommendation.
Es el primer arresto y hay una recomendación de UJR.
Ms. Anderson?
Señora Anderson.
Your Honor, officers responded to 803 Roswell Creek Lane, Apartment J.
Su señoría, los oficiales respondieron al 803 de Roswell Creek Lane, el departamento J,
with the report that a man broke into the house and was detained outside by the resident.
con la información de que un hombre había entrado a la casa y había roto la entrada de la casa.
The officers met with the victims, the Flores and Palata family.
Los oficiales se reunieron con los residentes, señor Flores y la señora Palada,
in front of the building.
enfrente del edificio.
The defendant was lying face up on the concrete steps leading up to the apartment.
El acusado estaba recostado en los escalones que llevaban al departamento.
The officer checked the defendant's pulse and rubbed his chest until he sat up.
También el oficial chequeó el pulso y el pecho del acusado hasta que él se levantó y se sentó.
The defendant appeared dazed and confused and had cuts on his hands and fingers.
El acusado se parecía mareado, confundido y tenía cortes en sus manos y dedos.
There was no damage to the door or the home found.
No hubo daño en la puerta de la residencia encontrados,
But the family believed the door was locked.
pero la familia creyó que la puerta estaba cerrada con llave.
The defendant was Mirandized and agreed to speak with the officers.
Se le leyeron los derechos Miranda al acusado y estuvo de acuerdo en conversar con los oficiales.
He appeared intoxicated and his statements were unclear and hard to follow.
Él parecía estar embriagado y sus declaraciones eran confusas y poco claras.
The defendant stated that he had been drinking, but did not know how much he was drinking or for how long.
El acusado admitió haber bebido, pero no recordaba cuánto y por cuánto tiempo.
He was transported to North Fulton Hospital for a possible head injury.
Y se lo transportó al hospital de North Fulton debido a una posible lesión en la cabeza.
The state recommends a $1,000 signature bond on each charge for a total of a $2,000 signature bond.
La fiscalía recomienda una fianza de $1,000 por cada cargo, siendo un total de $2,000 de fianza bajo firma.
With the condition to stay away from 803 Roswell Creek Lane,
con la condición que se mantenga distanciado de la dirección 803 Roswell Creek Lane.
no further contact with Jose Perez Flores or Emily Palata,
No tener más contacto con José Luis Pérez Flores o Emily Palada.
no drugs, weapons, or alcohol,
Queda prohibido el uso de alcohol, drogas y armas.
and an alcohol drug evaluation and treatment. Nothing further.
Y debe someterse a una evaluación de drogas y alcohol y tratamiento si es necesario.
Ms. Kim, if it's okay with you, it will be $1,000 signature bond through the jail on each count. Makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. The stay away from the Roswell Creek Lane address. No further contact with the alleged victims. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you?
Señora licenciada Kim, si está de acuerdo, será una fianza bajo firma a través de la cárcel con un de $1,000 por cargo, con un total de $2,000 para tramitarse a través de la cárcel. Él debe mantenerse alejado de la dirección 803 de Roswell Creek Lane, no tener más contacto con ninguna de las víctimas y queda prohibido el uso de alcohol, drogas y armas. Yes, that is fine, Your Honor. Thank you. Sí, eso está bien, su señoría. Gracias.
Luck to you, Mr. Sanchez.
Buena suerte, señor Sánchez.
Thank you, Ms. Chancey, as always. We appreciate your help this afternoon.
You're welcome, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, that was through the jail?
Yes.
Thank you. Position 4, Diggs.
Good afternoon, Mr. Diggs. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Diggs, you've been charged in case 23 CR 008037J with battery. Is there a history? Ms. Roberts? You with me, Ms. Roberts? Let's see, Ms. Anderson?
Yes, Your Honor. As far as a history, I see a conviction in May of 2022 for theft by shoplifting out of Clayton County, and 2 arrests that I don't have information on. The victim, Joy Hakeem, reported that she and her ex-boyfriend, the defendant, were in the car and got into an argument that turned physical. The defendant snatched her phone and her keys and then punched her with a closed fist and pulled her hair, causing bruising to her legs, back, and busting her lip. They were in a relationship. I don't believe they are anymore. They do not live together. They share no children. She did file a TPO in DeKalb County that is currently active. She wants no contact with the defendant, Your Honor, and that's what the state is asking for a signature bond through pretrial services, anger awareness, no contact with Joy Hakeem, and a stay away also from her address at 2885 Schuyler's Mills Lane in Snellville. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Hakeem, I see you there. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. You, of course, do not have to address the court, but if you would like to address the court, I will need for you to unmute yourself and I'll have to swear you in.
My mic's on.
Say it again.
Say it again. Would you? Yes, I would.
Can you raise your Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Give me one moment, Ms. Hakeem. Okay, they've gone off. Yes, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
So I just want to say that in this situation, I mean, it took a while for anything to get done in this situation. I almost did feel bad for going through and actually pressing charges. But in this situation, Zion showed no mercy towards anything. After this situation, he was still harassing me with calls. We were still arguing. I have not seen him since the situation, but not only did he physically abuse me that day, but it was a lot of mental things from that point forward. He had said a lot of hurtful, crazy, disrespectful things. I never once got an apology. I never once got, I was wrong. I never once got, I didn't mean to. It was more so I didn't do that because I did try to tell him what he did and how he was in the wrong. He didn't, I don't think in the moment he really noticed how much he hurt me, but I even submitted pictures to the court. I had scratches on my neck, on my leg. I had busted my lip, and I didn't even realize until the situation was over. I looked in my rearview mirror when I got up, and I had blood coming out my mouth. I had bruises on my back. I'm actually in school right now as an esthetician, so I get facials and give them all day. And I was noticing different marks each day when I would have to take off my shirt and put on a towel to lay down for a facial. And my friends would notice marks on my back and on my legs. And it's just going through that because those marks didn't go away for weeks. So I'm living that situation every day. Every day I've seen those marks. I still have marks from scratches on me. Even in the situation, his mother felt that he was, I guess, in the right. I mean, I understand that's her son, and I'm sure she loves him very much, but I feel like you should still hold him accountable and know that he was in the wrong, but she didn't. While I was at the police station, I was getting calls from her. I was getting texts. She was calling my parents out their name. My dad is a faggot. My mother is a bitch and stuff like that. So this situation, I just feel like I want him to be held accountable, and that's all. I don't wish bad on him, but I do want him to be held accountable because I feel like if I don't speak up and say anything, nobody will.
Okay, thank you, Mr. King. We appreciate you being here this afternoon. It's a tie.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 21 years old, and all I saw in the pretrial report was a 2019 shoplifting incident. My client was 17 years old at that time. He does have a 1-year-old daughter who his mother is helping him care for. He lives with his mother and his child. He's lived in Georgia all his life, graduated from high school. He had about a month ago, he enlisted in the Army, and he is set to begin basic training on January 10th. That's the date that he ships out. And so he'll be there for about 30 weeks for basic training. He denies the allegations. The incident allegedly occurred October 30th, although a warrant was issued December 14th for that incident. So he does deny the allegations and states that, he has not seen Miss Hakeem, the complaining witness. They had just recently met. They've known each other for less than 3 months at this point. He does state that she was the first aggressor, not just on that occasion, on many occasions, threw his phone out of the car. He states that the issues started when she found out that he's joining the Army and leaving town. She filed the TPO on December 1st, although they haven't seen each other since October 30th. I don't know why a TPO was necessary, but he signed it. It was a consent order. And again, the incident allegedly occurred October 30th, and the warrant was issued December 14th after that TPO on December 1st, and they haven't seen each other since October 30th. So I am asking, he has recommended UJR level 2, but I'm asking for a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. I think the level 2, I mean, it's a shoplifting conviction from when he was a teenager. So a signature bond through pretrial services. It can be level 1, but I think it would have to be reporting by phone, since he is going to be in basic training starting January 10th.
Okay, Mr. King, this is just a bond hearing this afternoon. We're not going to litigate this matter today. So I know that you might have something that you want to say that Mr. Tai said that you want to respond to, but you'll have your opportunity at a later time. Is this his mother on the iPhone 84?
No, this is his mother right here. This is Joy's mother. And I want to say something to those delayed dates that were mentioned.
We're not going to litigate this afternoon, Ms. Taylor.
Okay, I just want to explain why it took so long.
But
I understand that.
Sorry, Your Honor, but my client's mother is on the line. She's iPhone 84.
Okay, I see her there also. And again, we're not litigating this afternoon. This is just a bond hearing. So I'm happy to hear you if you have something to say in regards to the bond. But as far as it goes to he said she did this or he did that, let's wait till another time for that. Okay.
And just to state again, Your Honor, since he is enlisting and starting basic training January 10th, my client does not have a job right now. He has no income and he has no money for a bond.
All right. I am going to send him through pretrial. It will be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Ms. Hakeem, stay away from her residence, the Skylar Ridge Lane address, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right. Good luck to you all. Yes, Ms. Hakeem.
So the address was wrong that you just stated. It's 2885 Skylar's Mill Lane first. And then all I was going to say, and it is pertaining to this, there was never a time where I was the aggressor. I even submitted messages to you.
I understand respond to that, but I appreciate you being here this afternoon, and you'll have your day for all of that, Mr. King. Okay. All right. To all of you, good luck. Who do we have?
I'm sorry,
next?
I have a question.
Yes,
a question. With him leaving on the 10th, and this is a bond, how does the next hearing occur? What happens with that? How does that work?
You'll have to speak with his attorney regarding that, ma'am. Okay, so
Okay.
it's someone we get, if he qualifies for the services of the public defender going forward, you can speak with them regarding that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, who do we have next?
Position 6, Dockery.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dockery. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Dockery, you've been charged in case 23 CR 008040J with willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history?
Last arrest was October of 2022 out of Michigan for dangerous drugs. He appears to be on probation out of Michigan for possession of a controlled substance less than 25 grams. That was from January of 2022, 2 years probation. 2 FTAs, 2018 Ohio, 2018 Kentucky, and then a 2018 conviction out of Ohio for illegal weapons, drugs, or other prohibited items in a detention facility. And nothing further. Level 2 recommendation.
Sanderson?
Thank you, Your Honor. On December 17th of this year, a valet who works at 2257 Lenox Road, Northeast in Fulton County, that's a restaurant called Babylon. That valet advised officers on patrol that 3 SUVs were obstructing the corridor at Lenox Road and Cheshire Bridge. The officers called a tow truck to the scene, and because the cars were endangering drivers and the flow of traffic. The tow truck folks were able to get one of the vehicles onto the tow truck when several individuals exited the Babylon location. And when attempting to explain to the owners why their cars were being towed, this defendant got inside of the vehicle after being told not to, and a struggle ensued between the defendant and the officer for him to exit the vehicle. The state is requesting a $1,000 signature bond, Your Honor, and that's due to the criminal history. Anger awareness class, and a stay away from the Babylon location, 2257 Lenox Road Northeast, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
So, Mr. Ty, if it's okay with you, $1,000 signature bond through the jail, no further, or is this your case, Mr. Ty?
Yes, it is.
Okay, just wanted to make sure, no, stay away from the Babylon and Lenox Road, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you, Mr. Dockery.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It's just, position 17, Judge, Mr. Ware.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Ware. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Ware, you've been charged in case 23 CR 008050F with 2 counts of one count of simple assault, family violence, and 1 count of simple battery, family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Last arrest was from January of this year for simple battery with Dallas Police Department, Dallas, Georgia. There's no disposition, so that case appears to be open. He appears to be on first offender probation out of Paulding County for aggravated assault, cruelty in the first, and terroristic threats. That is from June of this year. It was 3 years probation. And the recommendation is level 3.
Yes, Ms. Anderson.
Your Honor, law enforcement responded to 250 Piedmont Avenue, Unit 2505, in reference to a dispute with a weapon. When they arrived, the officer spoke with the victim, Charismia Page, who I believe will be on Zoom today, and explained that she and the defendant got into an argument. The defendant and Ms. Page were in a relationship and lived together and have lived together for 6 years, and they share a child. The defendant asked for the victim's phone, and when she declined, he pushed her. He then picked up a hammer and stated to her, "I will kill you before you call 911. She ran into the bathroom where she stayed for over 40 minutes and was able to contact dispatch. When she came out, the defendant was gone. The officers were able to pull up his license, and the victim was able to positively identify him as the one who threatened her with a hammer. Officers found the defendant after canvassing the area and detained him. Your Honor, again, they live together at the incident location, share one child, and the victim is currently 6 months pregnant. The state is asking for a $2,500 surety bond, a stay away from the incident location, 250 Piedmont, and a no further contact with Charismia Page, a family violence intervention program, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe the victim is here to
Oh,
testify.
yes. Ms. Page, if you are, if you wish to address the, I need for you to raise. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. What would you like to tell the court?
I mainly just wanted him to get in some type of therapy, and he doesn't have a job right now, and we don't have any money to get him out. So I was gonna see if he can get a signature bond and just do no violent contact.
Okay. Has this ever happened before?
Not to that extent, no.
And when you say not to that extent, what are you what are you referring to?
Like with the hammer.
Okay. So has it happened before without a hammer?
No, just fussing or arguing.
And how often does that happen?
Not often.
All right. Are you afraid of him?
No, Your Honor.
And how many children do you have?
We have one together and one on the way.
Okay. And how old is the one that you have together?
4.
Okay. Does this arguing ever happen in front of that 4-year-old?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else you want to tell me?
No, that's all.
Okay. Mr. Cook, I'm so sorry, but you're either going to have to go off camera for me or keep your eyes open for me. One of the two. All right. Okay. You can go off camera if you want to, but it's a bit distracting for the court. Okay. All right. I appreciate it. Yes, Ms. Kim.
Yes, my client, Mr. Ware, is 28 years old, and Your Honor, he does want to have a continuously contact with Miss Page. He has not had a job lately, so because of his financial indigency, it is very important for him to get a signature on bond. Otherwise, he may have to wait until the bond January 2nd, 2023. He graduated from high school, and he does not have any drug or alcohol issues, and he denies the allegation. And we would like to request for signature, no, not the signature on bond, through pretrial 3rd degree. I mean, level 3 is fine for us, as long as it is a signature on bond, and no further violent contact as Miss Page is wishing. Thank you.
Your Honor, may I just briefly respond?
Yes, Ms. Anderson.
I would just ask that you please take this defendant's criminal history into consideration and the escalating nature of the allegations into consideration. I would also ask that you order that he become employed, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Page, to your knowledge, has Mr. Ware been seeking employment?
Yes, he had just started a job last week, but he lost it when he got arrested over the weekend.
Okay, all right. Thank you, ma'am. So for each charge, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial, which makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3, 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Page, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond, and Mr. Ware, you to continue making every effort that you can to find employment. Okay? So I'm going to let you out because I think you'd be better served by trying to find a job and supporting your family as opposed to sitting in jail. All right, but if you violate any of these conditions, you'll be right back there. You understand me?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck, Mr. Ware. You also, Ms. Page.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Position 18, Washington.
Good afternoon, Mr. Washington. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 008052C with reckless driving, willful obstruction of law enforcement officers, failure to obey signs or control devices, driving on the wrong side of a roadway, and fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Yes, last arrest was September 2020 out of Cobb County for driving while license suspended or revoked. A 2015 conviction for driving while license suspended or revoked. 2016 conviction, disorderly conduct. 2020 conviction, willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. And then a 2017 conviction out of Tennessee for carrying a weapon on school property. Level 2 recommendation.
Anderson.
Your Honor, the defendant ran a red light at the intersection of 14th and State Street, which is a high foot traffic area. 3 other vehicles made the same maneuver all at the same time. And one of those vehicles is one of the ones that we're here for today, Your Honor. That's a white Jeep Trackhawk. The officers attempted a traffic stop and put on their emergency lights and sirens. The vehicles ran red lights. This vehicle made a left-hand turn off of 14th Street and onto Hemphill Street. The officer saw the Jeep pass the parking lot on North Side and went to the parking lot and saw 4 males inside the QT walk outside and approach the direction of the Jeep. The officer asked the gentleman where they were going, which vehicle they were going to, and they said it was the same white Jeep. The officer asked for their IDs, 2 of which were provided. One male, who was the defendant, ran to the vehicle, which was about 20 feet away, turned on the ignition and was putting it into the gear when the officers were able to open the door and get the defendant from the vehicle. He further attempted to resist by not giving officers his hands, refusing to comply with verbal commands before he was eventually placed into custody. The other males were detained, stated that they were passengers and that the defendant was the driver of the Jeep. The officer was able to obtain video of the defendant driving the Jeep on the wrong side of the road and making the left-hand turn from 14th Street onto Hemphill, with the windows rolled down, clearly showing that it was the defendant in the driver's seat. Your Honor, the state is asking for a $2,000 surety bond, no driving, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol.
How would you like that broken down?
1,000, 5. I think it's 2,500, Your Honor, with 500 on each.
Okay. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is actually working at Les Parking as a parking agent. So anyway, he is 26 years old and he's been here in Georgia for all his life. It's not a flight risk. This is traffic violations. We would like to request for a signature on bond, even though it may be level 2 or 3. We are willing to do so as long as it is a signature on bond. He does not have anybody who can pay for the bond if it is that high right now. So we would like to request for a signature on bond. Thanks. Please do not say anything unless it is directly related to the bond condition. So give me a call if you have any question. You have a right to remain silent, and you will have a day at the court to defend yourself.
No, I was just gonna say, not being able to drive would affect me getting to my job. to provide for my family.
This is going to be a split bond. For the reckless, a $500 good bond. For the fleeing or attempted to elude, a $500 split, a $500 good bond. For the willful obstruction, a $250 signature bond through pretrial. Failure to obey signs or control devices, $250 signature bond through pretrial. Driving on the wrong side of the road, $250 signature bond through pretrial, all level 1, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Your Honor, could you please repeat that second condition after the reckless?
The reckless and the fleeing or attempted to elude, they'll both be $500 good bonds, making for a total of $1,000 good bond on those two. Each of the other charges will be $250 signature bonds through pretrial.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Washington.
Okay, you're done. Position 14, Santana. Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Santana. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Your Honor.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 008047F for simple battery family violence. Is there a history?
No, first arrest, usually jail recommendation.
Sanderson?
Your Honor, the victim in this case is Eva Santana Cortez. She explained to law enforcement that her husband and she gotten into a domestic dispute. She was laying on the couch at home when he came, stood over her and telling her to get out of the house. She refused to leave, so he picked her up off the couch, and then he stumbled while picking her up and ended up dropping her on the floor in the kitchen. When she was on the floor, he then grabbed her by the throat and the arm and dragged her outside of the home, refusing to allow her back in the home. She managed to make her way back in the house because the dog got out, and at the time that she was able to make it back into the home, she was able to call 911. The officer observed bruising to her left arm where she was grabbed by the defendant. They are married. They live together at the incident location. They do share one child. She states that this is not the first time they've been violent, but the first time she's called the police. She has left the premises and cannot return while he's there. She may be on Zoom today, Your Honor. The state is asking for a $1,000 surety bond and a stay away for the address of 5567 Kingsport Drive in Sandy Springs. No further contact with Eva Santana Cortez. 1 FFIP, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol, and the victim does intend to file for a TPO. Nothing further.
If Ms. Santana Cortez is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so.
Hi, Eva Santana Cortez is not on the line, but I am on the line. I am his sister.
Okay, and
if she was not at the scene, I object, Your Honor.
Okay, and what's your name, ma'am?
My name's Elizabeth.
And are you asking to address the court, Miss Elizabeth?
No, I just wanted to just clarify that he has a $1,000 surety bond and he will need to leave the premises.
No, we haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay, I apologize.
No, you're fine. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is actually, I'm just trying to, looking at the notes. He is 33 years old, Your Honor. He has been here in Georgia more than 17 years, and they have been married ever since, even though they were in the relationship, they married in 2016. And they do have a child who is 13 years old. I don't know why it makes kind of echoing sounds. I apologize, but am I the only one who hears that? Okay, sorry about that. he is gainfully employed, and even though he only has a GED, he completed it successfully, and he is the one who provides for the family. His wife, I believe, is working at QT now. He wants to return home because he has no other place to go, if he cannot go back to their marital property. We would like to request for signature on bond through pretrial, and he's willing to take anger awareness courses, but this is his first offense, first arrest. I think he's recommended for signature on bond. Thanks.
Okay, it will be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 1, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Miss Cortez. He's to stay away from the Kingsport Drive address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. There's to be third-party transfer for visitation of any minor children, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right, good luck to you, Mr. Santana.
Please do not say anything, Mr.
You're done. Position 8.
Pronounce your last name for me, sir.
Galactiadis, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Galactiadis. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 0080428 with obstructing or hindering a person making an emergency telephone call. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Yes, last arrest February of this year for a DUI. That is an open case out of Gwinnett. Appears to be on probation out of Gwinnett for false imprisonment, simple battery, criminal damage, willful obstruction, and obstructing or hindering a person making an emergency telephone call. That is from February of 2021. It was 5 years probation. Also appears to be on probation out of Fulton County for theft by receiving stolen property. That is from November of 2019, 4 years, 6 months probation. 2 FTAs, both in 2016 out of Tennessee. A 2017 public intoxication conviction out of Tennessee, and then a DUI conviction in 2013 out of Tennessee. And nothing further.
Ms. Anderson?
Your Honor, on the 17th of this month, officers responded to 135 River North Circle, Fulton County, regarding an out-of-control male. While en route to that location, the officers were advised that the operator heard a male take the phone from a female caller and interfere with her call to 911 for help. At the address, several family members were standing in the driveway as the defendant was frantically pacing back and forth and repeatedly saying that his family was in danger and that something wasn't right. He is known to the agency, Your Honor, as a person who struggles with narcotics use or abuse. The officers responded to the scene about 2 years ago with a similar incident when the defendant had barricaded himself inside the home. The caller is Miss Evanthia. She's the defendant's grandmother who confirmed that he was interfering with a 911 call that he was placing. The state is asking for a $1,500 surety bond, an ADET, drug evaluation and treatment, a mental health evaluation treatment, no further contact with his grandmother, Evanthia. I don't have a last name for her yet at this time, Your Honor, and a stay away from the address of 135 River North Circle, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. And it does appear that the defendant may need some assistance in some kind of way, whether it be with potentially mental health court or drug court or something like that, and would be interested in what the public defender has to offer on that.
Mr. Cook?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 34 and has lived in the Metro Atlanta area for 34 years. He does have some issues with anxiety that he acknowledges and would like to try to treat those as effectively as possible. On the stay away, the 135 River North Circle, Atlanta 30328 is a family property. It's where he lives. And we would ask that he be allowed to go back there. There may be some other treatment. I mean, I don't think we would have any problem with any MH treatment, because I know he does want to get on top of things. He has been he's employed as a trainer, certified trainer by Planet Fitness. He also works in private security over the weekend, so he's been trying to get his life back together and fight these circumstances. But I don't know where he would go if he could not return to 135 River North Circle.
Your Honor?
Yes, Ms. Anderson.
The problem with the defendant returning to the family home is the constant disruption and problems that he's giving to his family members there. I know he has an extensive criminal history in Tennessee. I'm not sure what his ties are to that location, but it doesn't appear that this home is always where he's been.
Has your office spoken with the grandmother, Miss Avanthia?
I know that as of about 1 o'clock, we had not heard back from the family yet, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Mr. Cook, your client has his hand up. I'm happy to let you speak with him, but unless someone has spoken with her, with the grandmother, and if it's the grandmother's home, I'm not going to have him return there until I speak with the grandmother or find out what her wishes are. All right, so I'm willing to give him a Ms. Roberts. What was the recommendation again, please?
The recommendation was level, let me go back, level 3.
Okay, so it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. I want him to have a social worker visit, Mr. Cook, to possibly deal with any issues that he might have, including that of housing, if that's necessary. He's to stay away from that River North Circle. If he has any belongings there, he can have a one-time law enforcement escort to retrieve those. No further contact at this time with his grandmother. And I guess we'll have to state it that way, Ms. Anderson, given that we don't know her last name, Ms. Avanthia, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. He wants to talk. He wants to talk to you,
Your Honor. I just want to tell you that I haven't been living there for about a year, and I just want to tell you that I really have been trying to rehabilitate myself and get myself back on track. I relapsed, and that was the first night going over there, was leaving the situation where I've built my life down in Fayetteville. I've transferred my probation. I got out of this city. And unfortunately, the person that I had started to do that with was I was giving everything to somebody while I wasn't doing anything for myself. So I want to go.
Okay, so hold on now. I'm
not just out here not doing what I need to do. I've done so much to get to this point, better than where I was a year ago.
Okay,
so I would say nothing further. I think you've made your point that you're trying.
All right, and I appreciate that, sir. So I'm gonna give you the opportunity to keep it up. So I'm gonna give you a signature bond through pretrial, but make sure you stay in touch with them. And good luck to you, sir.
Your Honor, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Cook.
Thank you.
Judge, I have a couple of announcements. For position 2, their bond has been paid, and then positions 12 and 7 waive their appearance.
7 and 12, okay. All right, so can we start with position number 7? Fowler. Is there a history on position 7, Ms. Roberts?
Yes, last arrest is from May of this year for purchase, possession, manufacture, distribution, or sale of marijuana, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. That is an open case, 23 CP 218632. And then a second open case for theft by taking and financial transaction card theft, 22 CP 211351. Level 2 recommendation.
Okay, Ms. Anderson.
Your Honor, the victim in this case is Talise Little. She and the defendant share a child. She was at the location 3215 Cushman Circle Southwest. The defendant was taking a nap, suddenly woke up angry, grabbed a knife and stabbed the closet door several times. And while he was stabbing the door, he shouted, "I want to do this to you." He also kicked the closet door, causing damage to the bottom right side of the door. He smashed the bathroom mirror. And after damaging the property and making these threats, he fled the scene. Ms. Little and her mother, Marquetta Amor, advised officers that the defendant does not live at their residence. She stated that this was not the first time that he has become violent, and she has called the police. After the police left the scene, Ms. Little called 911 back because the defendant came back to the home and was banging on the door, but he was not on the scene by the time the officers went back a second time. The victim has petitioned for a protective order on August 4th of this year, but it was dismissed on August 25th of this year. Due to these allegations and the open cases that the defendant has, the state is asking for a $7,500 surety bond. Again, that's also because of the use of the weapon. 1 FFIP, 1 mental health evaluation and treatment, no contact with Talise Little, a stay away of 3215 Cushman Circle Southwest, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. And I don't know if a third-party transfer is appropriate, Your Honor, or maybe a no contact with a child at this time. We'll leave it up to you.
Okay, Mr. Cook.
Your Honor, we don't quite agree with the characterization of the story here, but it's my understanding from my client that he's actually paying the rent. I'm not sure who exactly is on the lease, but we understand the stay away is probably appropriate. We would certainly ask for a third-party transfer so he can see his child, and a signature-only bond could be at level 3. He self-employed lawn care for about 3 months. Again, they do share the child, and we believe that a level 3 SOB bond would be the best path with the third-party transfer of the child.
Okay, it'll be a $5,000 signature bond for pre-trial level 3. No further contact with Ms. Little. Stay away from the Cushman Circle address. Third-party transfer of any minor children for visitation, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Next position is, you're welcome. Position 12, Phil Pott, charged with ordering of prowling and simple battery against a police officer. Is there a history, Ms. Roberts?
Last arrest was from 2019 for willful obstruction and interference with government property. Last conviction, 2010 for theft by shoplifting and entering auto. 2008 criminal attempt to commit a felony, and then 2008 battery and willful obstruction. Level 3 is the recommendation.
Ms. Anderson?
Your Honor, the police were dispatched to 886 McDaniel Street in reference to a burglary call. When they arrived at that location at around 8:20 p.m., they saw a Black male wearing a ski mask leaving in between the home that was reported burglarized and an abandoned home. That male was identified as the defendant and was asked where he was coming from, and he stated he was just walking through. When asked where he lived, he would not provide an address and just stated up the way. He was detained upon further investigation. When in the rear of the patrol car, he spit on the officer. The state is asking for a signature bond through pretrial services, a stay away from this location, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol.
Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, we would have no problem with those conditions.
Okay, so for each charge, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial, makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial. Level 3, no further, stay away from the McDaniel Street address, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Okay, I believe that completes the 2 o'clock calendar. Let's see, Ms. Bridgewater. Guess whenever you're ready.
Your Honor, I have a Diallo Mamadou listed as a well, I actually spoke to him and interviewed with him, so
I don't have a Mamadou on my calendar. Is there a Mamadou, Francois?
You know what? I just gave the calendar to Sergeant Johnson. Let me get back with you on that, Judge Morrow.
Okay, and while you do that, we'll charges connected to DA. Is that for Mamadou? Well, yes. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess he'll be felony first appearance then for I'm not sure if he's, so you talked to him already, Mr. Cook?
yes, I talked to him just in our normal interview
Okay.
period.
Were those upgraded?
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to ask you, Judge Morrow. Is it transferred to felony?
Well, it sounds like it was. I'm being told that it was, so I think that so you might want to check into that, Mr. Cook,
Sure.
just to see, but we don't have them on today's calendar, and it appears that they've been upgraded to felony charges.
Okay, I will check on that today.
Okay, all right. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate all the help today. I'll see you tomorrow. Francois, you gonna stay with us to go over the calendar?
Oh, no, I'm good. Thank you.
She said no.
I already gave the calendar to my sergeant, so.
Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, have a good one. Be
Thank
safe.
you too. Okay, Ms. Bridgewater.
Yes, sir. Once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is going to be January the 2nd. Position number 1 is reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position number 2 is being reset further notice as the defendant has been released. Position number 3, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 4, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 5, reset further notice with a total $5,000 SOB through pretrial. 6, reset further notice with a $1,000 SOB through the jail. 7, reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through pretrial. 8 is being reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. 9, reset further notice with a total $2,000. I'm sorry, with a total 1,000. No, let me go back. Reset further notice with a total $2,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 10, reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 11, reset further notice with a total $5,000 SOB through pretrial. 12, reset further notice with a total $2,000 SOB through pretrial. 13, reset further notice with a total $2,000 SOB through the jail. 14, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 15 is going to the SAP calendar with a $3,000 good bond. 16, SAP calendar with a total $8,000 good bond. 17, reset further notice with a total $4,000 SOB through pretrial. And 18 is a split bond and is going to the SAP calendar with a total of a $1,750 split bond. Are there any questions, comments, or otherwise?
Okay, if not, I will see y'all tomorrow. Have a good evening. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Sorry, Judge. Oh, goodness.
Yes,
are
Ms.
you,
Mays.
no, you don't have the calendar tomorrow.
I do not.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, at least not that calendar.
Exactly. Well, thank you.
Okay, I'll see y'all.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Tomorrow then.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.